Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And soon you will recall what I say to you, and I entrust my affair to Allah. Truly Allah is all-seeing of His servants. So Allah saved him from the evils of what they schemed, and there encircled the people of Pharaoh, the evil of punishment. Fasad tata kuruna ma akulu lakum wa ufawidu amri ilallahi inna allaha basirun bil ibadi. So this uses some of the words that we'll be dealing with today. Of course, one of our favorite is ufawidu. Ufawidu is to entrust. Ufawidu amri, your actions, your orders, your decree, your command. You turn all of your affairs over to Allah. That's what ufawidu means, to entrust. I entrust, I commit, I consign all my life, my expectations. Excuse me, brother. You can't lay with your feet. Plus, we're doing a program. Maybe you can come back a little later and lay down. No, we're doing a program. No, maybe you can come back a little later. Yeah. Okay. So, I entrust, I commit, I consign my affairs to Allah. That's what tafweed is. Tafweed is to delegate all your affairs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then there's another word, a few more words used. Wahakka bi'ali Pharaoh Suwa'un al-Azabi. Now, in this case, it says that the makkah, the scheme, the plot that they planned, and this is, wahakka means that they will be surrounded or encircled, no matter what the scheme or the plan was. And when it uses makkah, for many places, وَمَكْرُوا وَمَكْرُوا اللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. They planned and Allah planned, and Allah is the best of planners. So, in this case, Wahakka means there encircled the people of Pharaoh. So to go over it again, and soon you will recall what I say to you. I entrust my affair to Allah. Truly, Allah is all-seeing of His servants. That means we have to consider at all times, no matter what the situation is, no matter what it looks like, we have to consider that we're under the purview, under the vision. Basirun, Allah is seeing all of this stuff. And then never let that, because sometimes the physical world can encircle you, and you can have bills to pay, you can have this going on, all that stuff, and you won't forget about Allah, but your bills, your debt. That's why we pray to Allah. We seek refuge in Allah from debt and the oppression of men. And the Quran says that riba runs people crazy, and it's a sickness, it's an illness, you know. And so that riba, that people put on us, we shouldn't accept it in the first place, but it becomes debt. Some people, they get a phone call at dinner time, they tell the kids don't answer the phone. Right, because it's probably people calling about debt. Don't answer the door. Who's at the door? There, yes.
You know, another ayah that says something about that encirclement, that encirclement itself, or him and the authors thereof, you know, the people who are doing it, the evil. So actually, they're actually doing it to themselves. Is that what?
There's no doubt about it. We'll get to a few more. I'll pick up this. But remember, haqqa, yes, to be surrounded and closed, to be hemmed in, and to be encircled. Now, and he shows you his signs. Then which of the signs, then which of Allah's signs do you deny? Do they not travel in the earth and see how was the end of those before them? They had been more numerous than they and stronger in power and vestiges in the land. But there availed them not what they used to acquire. All the stuff they acquired, they were numerous. This is Allah referring us to history now. And remember, Quran, Sunnah, history, and our own experience. So now, and why do we go to history? Because Allah sends us to history. Travel in the earth and see what was the end of those before you. Travel in the earth that you seek knowledge. So Allah is instructing us. The hadith says, seek knowledge even into China. Okay, so now, Yusiru or Yasiru, to travel, to go about, to make a journey, to move, to travel. So Allah is saying, and he shows you his signs, then which of Allah's signs do you deny? Right? Do they not travel or go around or make journeys in the earth and study history to see what was the end of peoples before? Yunzaru, to see, to look expectantly. So these are all commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It marked indeed were the messengers before you, but there encircled those who jeered of them that which they had been mocking at. Say, go about in the world, then see how was the end of the unbelievers. Ustaziyu, he was mocked, scoffed at, ridiculed, made fun of. Again, hatta, surrounded, enclosed, hemmed in. So, and mocked indeed were messages before you. So this is directed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But there encircled those who jeered of them that which they had been mocking at. They go about in the world and see how was the end of the unbelievers. And clear would be to them the evils of what they did, and there will encircle them what they used to mock at. Again, there's many more ayats in this, but these are the few I wanted to deal with. The main words, haqqa, surrounded, enclosed, yustazi'un, those who were scoffed at, derided, made fun of, and ridiculed. And it began with ufawidu, I entrust my affairs. That's why it starts off. And soon you will recall what I say to you, and I entrust my affair to Allah. Verily, Allah is all seeing of his servants. So Allah saved him from the evils of what they schemed. And there encircled the people of Pharaoh the evil of punishment. So this is definitely speaking about Musa alayhi salam and Pharaoh. And it's giving solace and it's giving comfort to anybody that wants to work fi sabilillah. But in order to work for the cause of Allah, you have to use the tools that Allah gives you. The first tool is the Quran. That's the first tool. It has many names, but it is a shifa. It's a healing for all the illnesses. If you're going a little funny upstairs, the Quran is a shifa. If it says for all the illnesses of the heart, and that means mental, physical, all kind. Shifa is a rahmah. Rahmah, it's a blessing, it's a mercy. You know. And it's a hidayah. It's a guidance. So whatever we start out doing, or whatever we continue doing, or whatever we're doing, we've already referred. We don't make up Negro plans. They sound like Negro plans. When we give a lecture, it sounds like a colored lecture. That's why the Arab brother didn't understand anything the other day. But he didn't understand because he didn't come here to understand. You could see him right away. Who is he? He's Syrian. Who is he? He's Syrian Ikhwan. Because I studied under the, I started pregnant. I studied under Syrian Ikhwan. They have a certain character, a certain way of acting. When the war in Syria started, about 6 years ago, all of them over at the other side of town and over in Adams, they all went back. I was watching TV and I was seeing all of them heading back to Syria. Syrian Ikhwan. So some that are still here, they come by and they want to check it. And he wants to tell me something. He was asking the question, how would I get around him? I wasn't even, whatever he said, I was doing like I used to mention about certain people to not get distracted in life. You take in the top of your brain everything they say, and you can run back to them everything they say. But you're not absorbing it and thinking about it and using up your energy. You just ain't having a conversation because maybe it don't make sense or it's emotional or whatever it is. So the same thing with him. I wasn't having nothing. I looked at him and I saw who he was already. He had to be a Palestinian because he's too light to be any other Arab or Syrian. 95% of the time he's going to be a Syrian. Syrian, you see on the TV, half of them look white. Yeah, and the ones in Palestine is because the Europeans conquered Palestine for a little while. And they left around a lot of real light-looking people in Palestine. You see guys in Palestine that look white. You don't see the Afro-Palestinians much, do you? They got plenty of them. Afro-Palestinians. You just don't see them. Okay, but anyway, let's get back to the move. And soon you will recall what I say to you. I entrust my affair to Allah. Verily, Allah is all-seeing of His service. To be brief, we entrust. You could turn the. You could turn it all the way off. We just want to knock it over. So, tafweed, we entrust what we do to Allah. So, or else you can win the whole big war all by yourself. You can fight the white man and the other Muslims and all of that all by yourself and have a good day. But if you got any sense, you entrust your affairs to Allah. You entrust the whole thing to Allah. That don't mean you just sit still. No, that means you go through all of this. And you do your research and study. And then Allah's going to direct you to what you should do in your time and your place. So Allah saved him from the evils of what they schemed. And there encircled the people of Pharaoh, the evil punishment. So that's letting everybody know that you will be encircled. For him then, the bad guys, by the same thing they make fun of, the same thing they ridicule, right? And then it instructs us to travel in the earth and see for ourselves. Not only Quran, not only Hadith, but history will show you your study of history. That's why we went through some biblical discussion either last week or 2 weeks ago about Babylon. Yeah, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. The fall of Babylon was the same as the fall of Great Britain, as the fall of Rome. Why? Because the decline of civilization, no matter what the name of it, is basically the same. And marked indeed were the messengers before you, but there encircled those who jeered of them, which they had been mocking at. Said, go about in the world and see how is the end of the unbelievers, and clear will be them the evils of what they did, and there will encircle them about what they used to mock at. So, we want to get those things clear. And why? Do y'all remember we talked about that we would be issuing a call? Maybe that was it, a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half ago. We mentioned it even recently, that we're issuing the call. There's a proclamation. When you get ready for a thing, you issue a proclamation. We didn't issue the proclamation then, we was discussing it. And that call would be certain training that we would go through in Oakland, and it would be a certain time, and we would be dealing with certain issues to build up a cadre of believers. And we was clear on that. So that call is now. And this is Abdul-Alim Musa, Big Hank, Clarence Reams. The call first goes to California. And then who does it go to? The people that have been ridiculed and they thought was finished, washed up. No more chance of recovery. Done in by history. Done in by life. Right? No more chances. It ain't no chance for them. They're too old, they're too broke down, they're too dopified. Well, we issuing the call to them. The BGF. We got BGF started right there in California. It split up into, like many things, some kept the ideas of George Jackson and those, some, in a way. People are older now. But most of the people in the BGF come through the California penal system. So most people will issue a call to their tribe, people that know them. They'll issue a call to their alma mater, where they went to school, something like that, right? So I'm issuing the call to my alma mater, my tribe, not a racial tribe, but the people that we grew up in them state penitentiaries. So everybody that was familiar with Frico Ranch School for Boys, 1957 to 1959. Fred C. Nellis School for Boys in Whittier, down there where Nixon is from. 1960, 1961. Pine Grove Forestry Camp, Preston School of Industry. 62, 63. Dual Vocational Institution, 63 to 65. That's my alma mater. Later on, we'll talk about people from Leavenworth and all of that. But this call goes to California first. But it's especially to Oakland first. Why is that? The call goes to Oakland, it goes to all the historical people that's been mocked at and laughed at. The businessmen, or businessmen children is fine. Businessmen children, y'all would be. Original Crips, outlaws, Pyrus, Pyru Crips, everybody, Slausons, all of those people. We all grew up together. Y'all remember me then, and y'all remember me now. I'm the same guy that I was then. I always went to the hole by myself, never snitched on nobody, never told on nobody, got super rich, but helped everybody else come along. Y'all know the story. When I went to the penitentiary, I went by myself. All the time. East Oakland Enterprises was the only. Martin Luther King tried it in Chicago the same year we was doing it in Oakland. When they think of Oakland, they think of the Black Panther Party and stuff like that. That's not the biggest thing, and anybody in Oakland right now will tell you. The biggest thing going on those days is East Oakland Enterprises. The only so-called gangsters that got big and brought the whole community along. Everybody usually get their crew big. They get their crew money. They don't have a project to bring the whole community. That was a period of wealth and prosperity for East Oakland. That's why the confrontation that we have with the Oakland Police Department is because of that. Is because of East Oakland Enterprises. So that's where our call goes. As far as gang members, during the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his call went to the two biggest gangs in the region, Aus and Khazraj. They used to fight each other for hundreds of years, right? And Yahud, when he went and looked through the Masjid and saw all of Aus and Khazraj having a good time, laughing and talking, he started reminding all of those people of their history. Who killed him? This killed your cousin, he killed your uncle. And they started arguing. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came in, he said, this is Jahiliyyah, right? This is Jahiliyyah. The Quran and history tells us a lot of times that people who are forgotten, people who are considered worthless, it was the barbarians. Remember the Nakram, the barbarians. The barbarians, people out in the woods, old uncivilized folks. History has done a number on the African American male. So we issued a call, and that call is to rebuild the things that the system has destroyed. Rebuild the family, right? Rebuild the society. Right? I don't care if you're still in Oakland. If you're still in Oakland, fine, the Masjid is there. If not, don't worry, we'll be in Stockton soon, inshallah, where most of y'all migrated. I want y'all all to remember what Oakland was like. Those of you who were my son's age, 55 to 45, I want y'all to remember how nice it was to be raised in Oakland. I want you to remember how nice a place was, how Oakland was to be raised in. And even remember LA. We're going to get to y'all later. Remember the west side, the east side, we was moving on over to across Central to the west side, then out into the jungle and all of that. Remember those days? We didn't slaughter each other, we didn't kill each other. Something happened to destroy the people. Islam is here to rebuild the individual and to rebuild the society. We'll start from exactly what our paperwork talked about in 1979, 1980. I don't know if I passed out some of that. From 1980 and 81. That's exactly what this period was a period of learning. I'm going to try to speed up. So the call goes out to people, gangs, organizations, all of those people. If you're still alive, don't worry. I'll get to the program. We're going to go to it and rebuild ourselves. Because there's something that we've had tons of leaders, but something that none of them had. They didn't push unity. That's why I should call people, all these people on all sides, the outlaws, slaughters, businessmen. I know there's still a few businessmen alive, you know. But if you're too old, send your son by, or your grandchildren. Grandchildren be about 30 years old, some of them. Okay. So what's the unity? What do they hate about us? We always stick with unity. People do what they want, but we don't never allow ourselves to be diverted into hassling the people. The people in Oakland and the people here, they cut our throat 10 times in a row before we even mention their names. So don't let nobody ever come to you and say, you said Abdul-Malik was this, you said Mukhtar was that. And that's after blood is streaming down. I'm patched up and bundled up from the neck to the toe, from head to the toe, right? And finally we say, ouch. It's just a historical fact. Unity and purpose. We don't have to worry about whether we got diverted, whether I did 10 or 15 or 20, 30 or 40 years in the pen. All of us now are old enough to know whatever we was doing, it didn't turn out to be a whole lot. Even those of us, I know some of y'all got pretty big, pretty rich, especially part of the LA crew. Moved up in the hills, a lot of you slid off the hills back down to the flat ground because that's the system. Those that this call is going out to, you're still alive. It's never over in this world until you're dead. The death garbage starts rolling around you. I don't care if you got arthritis, I don't care if you got rheumatism, I don't care if you got headaches, I don't care if you got back pain. This is a call. Who's issuing the call? Your friend. Now you gotta remember, we come from a special generation. We're issuing a call to you because you've had time to develop and time to win and lose at all life. It don't make no difference what you did and what you've been doing. This Islamic program and I'll go over it in general, is here to revive the world. What does it mean they're going to be encircled by the things they mocked at? They made fun of niggas. They said we knocked them niggas over with just a can of beans. We did this little trick on them, which basically a lot of it is true. It's not a problem. We weren't prepared. We weren't trained for education. Half of us came from Dixie and was so happy to be out in California with paved streets and everything. You remember the song? Bright lights, big city, went to my baby's head, electricity and all of that. Most of us, our generation, came directly from the South. We was happy to be in heaven, called California. Roads, electric lights, and all of that stuff. Boy, it was something, I'm telling you. So we were not prepared for revolution. We didn't get a chance to train for revolution. Although we had a revolutionary program in Oakland, when the police and the FBI and everybody came down all at one time, we were still in our early 20s. How are we going to know what to do? So we used our brain. We said, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll give the white man his little old place for a while and we'll take a break. Do you know why I left the country? Because when I was at Frico, when I was at Fred C. Nellis, when I was at Preston, you couldn't run off from Tracy, there's no penitentiary. Remember this? All the little white boys that ran away from jail was supposed to be the worst thing you can do. They brought them back and they let them go in about 6 months. And me and you, that niggas ain't did nothing but walking around and playing. We get out in 2 years, a year and a half. So I learned something. Those that run away from the plantation get off the plantation quicker than the ones that just mill around. Because they not situated for that. And they say, we're going to get them out of here because they're running all the time. If people follow them, everybody going to be running off. They run off, we're going to have to use this resource, that resource, that. So we're getting them out of here because they can't stand it. But the ones that's here and they stay here comfortably and they walk around and go to the dining room and go to the schoolhouse, we'll keep them and make them go through a program. Your progress is not sufficient to get away. So when the big heat come down from the white man, I remember we only a few years from those reform schools. I'm in my early 20s. I said, when the heat is on, if you leave, I said, Bonnie and Clyde didn't leave. Al Capone didn't leave. Nobody left. Lucky Luciano left. He hung around a long time. So I'll leave. You keep this. Boy, it's the best thing that happened in the world was traveling the earth and see what was the end of those before you. Open up your mind to a whole world out there. Can you imagine coming out of East Oakland and going to Canada, France, all of Europe and Africa, parts of Asia, the Middle East, and just big-eyed and looking at all of those are the pyramids of Egypt. That's the Nile River, all that stuff in history.